a population size of no more than 1 million people. Suriname, about 600,000 people. If you count French Guyana, another maybe 300,000 people. So these are not large population centers. In fact, these are very small countries in the grand scheme of things, but we have great potentiality. And I'm very happy that that is the main theme of this particular event, unlocking the potential of Suriname. But Guyana has very similar potential, and I'll start with the tourism potential. Just last year, in 2024, Guyana would have won 7 international awards. But we have very similar landscapes here in Suriname. So the ecotourism awards, the ecotourism paradise that we talk about in Guyana, and what person from Europe and North America travel to Guyana to see, a lot of those same things can be done here in Suriname. In Guyana, over the last 4 years, we would have added several new airlifts and airlines. We now have United Airlines traveling directly from Houston, Texas. We have Avianca Airline traveling from Colombia. We have Skycana traveling from the Dominican Republic. Copa Airlines has added 2 additional lifts per week. That connects you with 90 destinations across the world. I'm seeing Ambassador Jane Miller smiling and beaming in the crowd. That's because we've also added British Airways so that we can be able to have direct flights to Guyana from the UK. And this is the kind of growth that we've had. And this is not just because Guyana is a newfound oil destination and Suriname will soon produce oil in 2028. But this is because of very prudent policy making and galvanizing the private sector, which is even more important. So the private sector would have, in times past, really ramped up its tourism game, led by no less of persons than the persons who spoke before me, who have won several of those international awards. So what then do we need to be able to integrate and bring leadership to the Caribbean region? Of course, many of our Caribbean counterparts, they have different things to offer. We don't have the nice clear waters and the, what you call the blue lakes and so forth. In Guyana we have a few ones, but those are really artificially made. But we have a different offering. We have what I like to call the ecotourism paradise. Many of those countries, if they tell you that they'll take you to a waterfall, and this joke was told by the director of the tourism authority in Guyana. She said that she was in a different country in the Caribbean, and when they took her to the waterfall, she thought it was just someone that turned on the taps. But in our countries, we have real, massive, and beautiful adventures and experiences. So instead of positioning our countries as just having persons come to Guyana or just having persons come to Suriname, how then do we, and this is a term used by my CEO a lot, twin the product so that we can attract not just persons coming from Great Britain or Netherlands to Suriname, but how can we make them then also come to the other countries? So you might be traveling from the Netherlands 9 hours to Suriname, and then 2 days after, 3 days after, there's an additional part of your visit to Guyana. And likewise, maybe you're traveling from the UK or one of those other destinations that I've talked about, and then we have an itinerary where 3 days after, 4 days after, doesn't matter, you then go over to Suriname. So this is a charge to the private sector today. We will help to make it work. Our office is committed to seeing those relationships through, helping you with the numbers, for you to make those very feasible and viable investment decisions. If we just look at the Molson Creek area and that connection with Suriname and the Nigeria area, if you look at the numbers, in 2023, 58,000 persons alone came over to Suriname, and 58,000 persons from Suriname went over to the Guyana side. And we can expect this number to grow massively if we have road connectivity and bridge connectivity. So the bridge is very, very important. If you ask anyone in the tourism sector, what are some of the key things that they need to grow the sector, one of the first things that I'll tell you is connectivity and infrastructure. So the bridge that we will build between our governments and between our president, President Ali and President Santoki, will have massive ripple effects for the tourism sector of both countries. At our border towns alone, we will be able to see massive development. On the Guyana side at Mawson Creek, our government has already started to ramp up its housing drive there. Over 1,000 new homes will be built at the Mawson Creek area. At number 75 village, which is not too far away, we're building a very massive specialty and general hospital. There's a call center there that will employ over 500 persons. So in that catchment area alone, we are already pushing private sector development. And very similarly, before the oil production starts, it's very key for us to look at those areas that will develop. Because what is known to every investor is if you wait too late, then your investment decision and investment costs will go up much further. Anyone in Guyana will tell you that if they had the knowledge that they have now, they would have purchased land in 2019 or 2015 before all of the oil profits started and oil revenues started to come in. So very similarly in Suriname, you can be able to learn those lessons that we wish we had known much earlier. Just turning my attention a little bit to agribusiness and the agricultural sector that our presidents have both spoken about yesterday in their addresses, and some of the other members and speakers have spoken about. Agriculture in the Caribbean is something that we need to improve on. We have a CARICOM agenda, a food security agenda, where we want to reduce the food import bill by 25% by 2025. But it is very strange that only 3 countries in the entire CARICOM produce more than 50% of its own food. Many of them is because of their geographic makeup, but Suriname and Guyana, we have a geographic composition that puts us in the perfect place to be able to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean. We have the arable land, the fresh water, the right climatic conditions. We're located outside the hurricane belt, so we're not affected by those types of natural disasters. And I was doing some research last night in preparation for this presentation. And it says that Suriname would have designated 1.5 million hectares of land for agricultural production. And currently just about 120 hectares are being utilized. So that means that there's a large untapped potential for not just the Suriname companies, but what we're pushing here is partnership. We have a lot of large companies, medium-sized companies, companies with great expertise in Guyana who understand the agricultural sector, who are willing to be able to partner with the Suriname companies here, or vice versa in Guyana, to be able to ramp up our production. If we just look at 2 of those commodities alone in the food import bill, rice, livestock, and dairy, just about $3 billion collectively. Both Guyana and Suriname produce rice, but yet still, we're importing into the region $1 billion in rice. Untapped potential for us to be able to attract those types of investments. Of course, we have the CARICOM mechanism and so forth. So marrying this relationship will take not just the policymakers like me to get up and make a speech or to try to galvanize and motivate persons into action, but it will take the deliberate players of the private sector and the members in the room to step outside your comfort zone. Because many in the room, I've spoken to many of you, and many of you are in construction or in mining and other sectors. But it will take you stepping out of those traditional sectors and investing in the things for us to be able to deal and address those challenges that we have in CARICOM. So we need to be able to realize the tourism potentiality. We need to be able to solve our food security problems, and I've seen that I've run out of time, so I will get to my conclusion very quickly. But our countries similarly offer very attractive fiscal incentives for you to do business. Yesterday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said that Suriname is open for business, and very equally, Guyana is open for business. So then collectively, we should say to the world that we are open for business and we are open for partnerships. And it is only in this particular way that we will be able to bring investment leadership to the Caribbean and to the region at large. I want to thank you for listening to me.